Hi, this is Tony from BesideTheFrontDoor.com. We're going to talk about the fertilizers you need in your life. If you go to any big box store, you'll see 20, 50 different fertilizers, all with different names on them. And you don't need to be that specific with your fertilizer unless you really want to. So you do not need a different fertilizer for your tomatoes and your peppers and your peas and your flowers and your, everything. But there are 4 types of fertilizers that you need, and you can choose from there which brand, whether organic or conventional, but 4 types of fertilizers in your arsenal. You need a grass fertilizer for your lawn. It is very high in nitrogen, great for your lawn. Lawns love it, but it is too much nitrogen for everything else. So grass fertilizer for your lawn, don't put on anything else. The second fertilizer that you will need is an all-purpose fertilizer. This you can use for your flowering shrubs and your trees and even your vegetable gardens and your flowering gardens. Usually a granular is best for this. I prefer the granular over the liquids for this because they last longer. Liquid fertilizer is meant to dissolve in liquids, so that includes when it rains. So every time it rains or every time you irrigate, it's going to wash that fertilizer out of the root zone where you can use it. So you have to keep on reapplying it. And where does that fertilizer go when it gets washed out? Right into the whole water ecology, and it gets wasted. So granulars work much slower. I do prefer organics for this because, again, they break down slower, more long-term, less waste, and better for everybody. The third type of fertilizer you're going to want is a liquid fertilizer. And this one is going to be for your plants that are in containers, like your flowering annuals by your door or your hanging baskets. This should be very high in the middle number. Every fertilizer has 3 numbers listed on it. They're going to be nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. The first number is the nitrogen. It is for your top green growth. The middle number is focused on what the plants need for their roots and their flowers. And the third number is overall plant health. So this liquid for your containers and your hanging baskets should be higher in that middle number. The exact numbers aren't quite as important. The numbers are in ratio to each other. So a 5-5-5 and a 10-10-10 are essentially the same type of fertilizer, just you would need to use twice as much of the 5-5-5 as you would of the 10-10-10 to get the same total value amounts of your nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. The reason why for your hanging baskets and your flowering annuals and containers that you would want that higher middle number is because you need that extra potassium for the flowering. So if you really push the nitrogen, that first number, instead of the middle number, you'll get lots of great green growth, but your flowers will be reduced. If your vegetables are in just pots, large containers, we're not talking raised beds here, but actual containers, those flowers turn into fruits. So again, focus on that middle number in general. Now, the fourth fertilizer that you're going to need is a acid lover fertilizer. There are some plants that are really adapted and need to have a lower pH to properly utilize and make those nutrients available to them. It's just the environments that they evolved in. Lots of evergreens are very acid loving. So you can use a specific fertilizer for a specific plant if you want to go down the rabbit hole for that, and that is absolutely fine. Just don't feel like you really need to for all of your plants. Also, if you didn't experiment and had one raised bed and another raised bed with the same plants in it, and you fertilized one with a 5-10-10 and the other one with a 10-10-10, you probably would not notice a difference at the end of the season. So when the numbers are within a couple numbers of each other, don't get all crazy about trying to figure out which one's going to be exactly right. Really, those are there to give you those amounts. If you're getting very, very specific, especially for large-scale agriculture, they get soil tests done to find out exactly how much volume of nitrogen and potassium and phosphorus they need for those acreages of crops to bring the cost of production to the minimum that they can make that. Whereas at the home garden, it's not a big enough difference for the plants, so don't stress about that. If you have any more questions, go to besidethefrontdoor.com and I'll see if I can get them answered for you there. Leave some comments below about other questions you might have that I can answer for you, and we'll see you again.